Hi, and welcome or welcome back. You're listening to the Perio Patient Podcast, a podcast for my patients and anyone else who cares to listen. My name is Dr. Ben Young, and I am a periodontist in private practice in San Antonio, Texas. This is episode 95, and the title is An Actionable Step for Changing History. Little about this podcast today is directly dealing with periodontal disease. Instead, I want to talk about important current events I think we need to talk about that can ultimately affect our medical care, our dental care, and a whole lot more. If you are listening and watching the news, any at all, you likely are feeling a bit overwhelmed by events. I am. I believe we are in a pivotal moment in both United States history as well as world history. We could lose everything and become Venezuela, or we can hopefully, with God's help, turn this ship around, or at least keep it from running aground. Now, in the past, I've believed in separating or compartmentalizing my professional life from my personal life and from my social and community life. I still think this is a nice idea. However, right now, I see all of these areas converging. Let me explain. Let's talk about dentistry and medicine. What is at stake, in my opinion, is the type of medicine and dentistry we will be allowed to practice in the United States in the years ahead. Will we become another federally run post office, or will we be able to maintain a doctor-patient relationship without the interference of others who will dictate what we can prescribe and procedures we can and will not be able to provide, probably based on actuarial cost-benefit analyses, not the cost and benefit for the patient we are treating, but the cost and benefit to the state. A few years ago, I would have called what I am saying crazy talk. Unfortunately, it is a pretty good description of reality today. Now, from this point forward, this might sound familiar to any of you who are reading my Substack post called The Still Point Project. You can find it at thestillpoint.substack.com. Just click in. You can subscribe for free. And I posted this about a week ago with the same title. So here's the idea. First, so you know, I didn't think it up, but I'm all in. See if you agree. November 8 will soon arrive. Wouldn't it be nice if the vote of the people made a difference? What's the alternative? We end up with officials we didn't elect who are in places of power to do the bidding of those who put them there. Is this a conspiracy? Not really. It's called politics. Now, granted, my vote alone doesn't mean much, and if you think about it, it really shouldn't. If my vote meant more than it does, then that would mean, relatively speaking, that it means more than, say, your vote. Of course, that also means that it is easy to get people to not vote, because after all, what difference does one little vote make? So let me make this observation. Much of the activities of powerful special interest entities when it comes to elections is to convince those on the other side of their special interest issue that there is no point in voting. After all, what's the point when all the polls indicate that the other side is surging? Never mind that the polls are just a form of cheap advertising. If a poll ever turns out to be completely predictive, understand it was a good accidental guess. Now, I don't know if any particular election in the past was stolen or not. I'm open to seeing all the evidence, and I do believe when I see certain individuals wishing to hide evidence that it falls into very suspicious behavior. But we only have a little less than a month, so let me repeat what I consider a modest proposal. First, to put your mind at rest, it won't cost any money. What it does cost is a bit of courage, the courage to speak up. But even though it requires a bit of courage, it doesn't require very much, because you will not be trying to convince anyone to vote for the same issues or people who you plan to vote for. Instead, it will be to encourage others to join you in voting, and for them to encourage others to vote, and for them to encourage others to vote, and on and on. Finally, I plan to vote on Election Day. I look forward to standing in line and waiting my turn. I'm willing to give up the convenience of voting early, something I really enjoyed doing in the past, in order to contribute to making sure that my vote counts. Should there be in place ways for others to game the system, if the votes that come in on Election Day are overwhelming, then it is less likely that attempts to cheat will override the will of the voters. Of course, there are other things people can do in the political sphere, but to me, my little vote is the most important contribution I can make. That and convincing you to do the same. So let's review. Number 1, we have 1 month left. Number 2, let's go on offense. We've been feeling small all along. It's time to move out. Offense, offense, offense. Number 3, make a list of 10 people you know. Number 4, contact each one on your list and get them to commit to vote in the upcoming election on Election Day, November 8. This will eliminate most potential election corruption. Number 5, get them to make a list of 10 people they know, and then encourage them to contact each one on their list and encourage them to vote on Election Day, and repeat the process. You spend no money with this idea, and yet this can result in a massive change in history. America, as we have known it and lived in it our whole lives, can be saved, I believe. If you like the direction the country is going in right now, then vote for those who are in power and accept the results. If you don't like the direction the country is going, then vote new people in. It's that simple, and also what civic duty is all about, at least as far as Election Day goes. Well, that's it for today. Thank you, as always, for listening, and if you think this is a good idea, one easy thing you can do right now is pass it on to others. We need to get the word out. I hope you agree. You have been listening to the Perio Patient Podcast, and I'm still Dr. Ben Young. Don't forget to vote. Bye for now. The consensus after every election is that 100% of Americans think 50% of Americans have lost their minds. Now go floss.